Are we live?
Cool.
So, I do want to know, are you leading us off today?
Sure. I'll do it.
All right.
Let's see what I got. Let me know when I should lead us off. And I'm going to bring you in before I get to my stuff, obviously.
Okay, that works with me.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Whenever you're ready, bro.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Welcome into the Sportaholics / Florida-Hollics. Okay, that's right. Russ and I have decided to make a big pivot here. You know, we figured we've got to find our niche to some degree. And with that said, we're really going to hone in on the Florida sports team. We're both born and raised in Florida. We both love all of the sporting events that go down in Florida. We like a lot of the teams that play in the state of Florida. So we figure, why not change the show up a little bit? We're not going to completely stray away from some of the national stories and headlines that we see from time to time, but we want to really hone in and focus in on this state that we're proud to reside in. So with that said, what do you got to say, Russ? Are you excited about being a Florida-holic, not only a Sportaholic, but also a Florida-holic?
Yes, guys, welcome to the Florida-Holics, man. I am the boy Russ, like my man Peyton just said. And I wouldn't be more proud to represent my state to the fullest, man. As you can see, we got a different setup here. I hope you guys like the digs. I'm sitting here on the couch. I'm hanging out, man. Peyton's over there in the studio. So I'm just ready to get this thing going, Peyton. How about yourself, man?
Hey, I feel the same way, brother. With that said, we're going to get to the basketball. Don't worry, because I know it's basketball season. But since we are the Florida-Holics now, I wanted to start with some buzz coming out of the NFL Combine, because according to the NFLPA, the Players Association of the NFL, they have their annual survey year to year. And I noticed that the Dolphins came in at the top of the list when it came to the NFLPA's annual survey as far as workplace environment goes. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. This is really just an opportunity.
Peyton.
Wait.
That is malarkey, man.
That's what I was getting to.
That is malarkey.
That's
all
what
right,
I was getting to.
Go ahead.
No, let me
I'll
go
let
ahead.
you finish.
I don't know how much all that stuff matters. I will say this. As far as the veterans on the Dolphins and their happiness in the workplace goes, you can tell that, it's easy to reside in South Florida, and then when you're happy with your workplace, player retention is not going to be a problem, right? Like Jalen Ramsey's not saying, "Oh, I want to be somewhere else." I don't really see that being an issue. So that's my main point there. But from a macro level, a larger scale of things, I just thought, why not do a little segment on the Dolphins here, a little off-season segment, and let's try to lead the Dolphins in the right direction, right? Because there are things we know about this team, okay? Number one, they can threaten defenses with the speed they have on the perimeter, and they can really dictate the defenses. Number two, we can rely and lean on Tua's ability to be accurate and to deliver the ball on time and on target. What's the missing piece? Protection. We've known this for a long time. Teron Armstead, left tackle, is he coming back? Mike McDaniel talked about him potentially thinking about retirement. They're paying Austin Jackson at right tackle. The great thing for the Dolphins is that many have been saying this upcoming NFL draft is a bit of a meat and potatoes draft, which means
another snooze fest.
A bit of a snooze fest, but that also means for Russ, who's a big Dolphins fan, there's ample opportunities to get some meaningful, impactful linemen in this draft. So the Dolphins are picking at 13. I want to see what they do in the first round, but as I said, we know a lot about this team already. We know that they can threaten defenses on the perimeter. We know that with Mike McDaniel's schematics, he can take advantage of the fact that he knows there's speed on the perimeter, and Tua can hit those underneath and intermediate routes, and then we can count on Tua's accuracy. Are we giving Tua enough time? That's the big question mark. And coming out of the combine week, that's what I'm looking to see from the Dolphins. Where's their interest level with some of these players that are coming out? What's your initial takes on that, Russ? How are you feeling about the Dolphins right now?
All right. First of all, I must say that this whole situation where the Dolphins have one of the most top tier organizations when it comes to workplace value, I can agree with that because one, you're in Miami. Two, they just renovated the stadium. They just built a entirely new complex for these players to work out in, and everything around the Miami Dolphins organization is relatively new. That includes the players that's on the team, that includes the coaching staff that's there. Everything is relatively new. So of course it's going to be a feel-good story coming out of Miami right now when it comes to ratings and so on and so forth. They should be on the front end of innovation. Correct. Like they should be on the front end of all the renovations that have been taking place in Miami. So with all that fancy technology, the LEDs and the MP3s and the PCPs and all that stuff that they got going on down there, we need W's. Okay. So I joke when I say that the draft for the Dolphins is going to be a snooze fest. And when we know that we lost a lot of draft picks and a lot of draft stock within the past couple of years because we are trying to acquire all these firework trades and picks and everything like that. So when it comes to Miami, I could really talk about that all day. But at the end of the day, I don't really care what they do in the draft. They need to put us in a better situation to win. And so whether it's a snooze fest or not, who cares? Nobody. We really only care about the first the top 10 picks anyways. And then everything after that can really fall by the wayside unless you are somewhat a nerd of the sport and kind of like it. And no offense to you, Peyton, I love the fact that you deep dive into the NFL draft and the combine. And it's perfect that we're actually having this conversation right now with combine week finally being here. And it's going to get exciting starting tomorrow and going into the rest of the weekend. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I can't wait to see what happens across the board in the NFL. But with the Miami Dolphins, I'm just hoping that they take this momentum of whatever positive atmosphere or whatever positive media outlets is coming their way. They take that momentum and they move in the right direction and finally figure out ways to win games late in the season. You did touch on how Tua's looking good. They can they have a stout defense, so on and so forth. I think the main issue in Miami is also depth, right? We are really top heavy. We've seen what happened when our quarterback went down this year. So there's a lot of things that we can get into. But by all means, that I'm just gonna end it right there because at the end of the day, I hope that they can bring and provide W's to their fan base.
Yeah. So are you comfortable ending it there? Because I could bring another aspect to the table if you want.
Let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it. I mean, go ahead.
We haven't seen Tua in a shootout situation in a playoff game against one of the upper echelon quarterbacks in the AFC. I guess you could say the game against Kansas City 2 years ago, but that was a bit of a blizzard. I mean, so that's hard to gauge. But the reason I went with my points initially is because Tua's locked in there, right?
Yeah.
Signed the contract last offseason. That's your quarterback. So
I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but go ahead. I'm with you.
Nothing's guaranteed, but he's getting paid. He's got a lot of years left on that contract. So it is what it is. He's the guy moving forward. So how do you accentuate his strengths? That's my main point. And that would be protecting him. We've seen other pocket quarterbacks in the NFL have success when they're protected. And it's not rocket science, right? If you've got Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, you don't have to worry about protection as much because they can evade pressure and things of that nature. Matt Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, that's kind of what we're dealing with, right? That needs to be a strength of the offense, protecting that guy. Because I've seen Tua in person. I think he's got an underrated deep ball. I think when his feet are set, he can be one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the league. I think he's a pretty good processor in general. So this is what the Dolphins are dealing with.
I love the fact that you're giving Tua a lot of praise here, because throughout his tenure in Miami, he hasn't been one to get a lot of praise. So I will commend you on that for giving this man his props and his flowers when while he's able to receive them, right? So I'm with you. I think Tua can be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He hasn't had that talk around his name for no reason. We've seen bits and pieces of that over his career and his tenure, despite the injuries, and that goes without saying. But why is he having the type of injuries that he's having in the first place, right? And that goes back to your point when it comes to protecting the quarterback. So yes, we see exactly what happens when the quarterback jersey stays clean. All right, we've seen that with the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. They keep him clean. They keep a pretty solid pocket. And then also he doesn't have the scramble ability as a Lamar Jackson, like you said. And I think he's pretty much up there as far as creativity with the football as a Patrick Mahomes, right? So Patrick Mahomes, by all means, we've seen him do it with lesser value players than what Miami has right now. So at the end of the day, I think as a Dolphin fan, the first thing that we want to see is the quarterback be protected. 2, us win games late in the regular season, moving into the postseason. And can we get over this first round hump that we've been going through? That's really important for me right now. So I'm looking forward to what this season has to offer. But we got to get through all the rough stuff, which is the combine, which is the draft, which is OTAs, which is camp, which is preseason.
All that off-season stuff.
So it's a long ride. My seatbelt is on. I'm buckled up.
Okay.
All right. And I'm ready for the ride, man. But I am actively looking for another team, by the way. I'm just saying.
I'm keeping him online here. I'm keeping him away from the weeds, okay? You got to stay loyal to your team.
I
right?
appreciate you for keeping me humble, man.
I'm going to keep you on your toes right here, though. I want to jump to what you're looking forward to talking about tonight, and that's the NBA teams we have in the state of Florida. As you guys know, there's only 2 of them. We got the Magic and the Heat. I'm a pretty big Magic fan. Russ is a pretty big Heat fan. But we both like and respect the other teams, so we're going to talk about them a good bit. The Heat are actually playing right now against the Hawks. I'm excited to catch the back end of that game, but – Russ, what are some of your thoughts on – we could start with the Heat or the Magic. I didn't know what direction you wanted to go in first, but some of your thoughts on both of those NBA teams right now.
Well, Peyton, I think this what I have to talk about is really just open discussion about the 2 basketball teams in Florida. And we can also get into a little bit of college ball. We can get into that a little bit later as we see the Gators going on a dominant tear throughout college basketball right now. So we'll save that for another day. But with that being said, man, the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic are currently sitting inside of the play-in tournament. The Heat are sitting at 9 and the Magic are sitting at 7.
I think that's right.
So I'm interested to hear what you think the rest of the season will look like for these 2 teams. As far as it goes for the Orlando Magic, I know that they have been dealing with a bunch of injuries, and Miami, I think they're just still kind of struggling with the Jimmy Butler trade, trying to figure out, okay, what direction are we going in? Who can we lean on? If Tyler Hero isn't being the Tyler Hero that we all expected him to be, is there anybody else on that team that can step up? And after watching a couple games, man, it's looking like they really need as much help as possible. And you'll be surprised at some of the talent that's on that team, but it's a mixture of a lot of young guys on that team. So I guess the opening question would be, what team do you expect to have a better rest of the season moving into the playoffs?
I love the question.
Yep.
It's tough to answer right now because, frankly, the Magic are coming off of a 40-point loss. The Heat have lost 5 of their last 6 or 7. So neither team in a great place. If I had to pick one that's going to finish the season out on a stronger note, sorry, I'm going to sound biased. I'm going to go with the Magic. That's mainly because, when I'm thinking about the Heat here, they really relied on Jimmy to be a bit of a closer and finish in closing winning time in games. And I think that shifts to Tyler Hero now, because I don't know if Andrew Wiggins is that type of player, who obviously was in that transaction for Jimmy Butler. So I think the margins are a little smaller for the Heat, and Tyler Hero needs to play his A game more often in order for them to be successful. Now, the Magic have their own set of problems as well. I mean, it's really about being an intentional offense when it comes to the Magic, because they don't have the great spacing that other teams are afforded in the league, where you've got 3-4 shooters on the court at one time. It's an offense that needs to be more intentional in general. But it's too bad the Magic and Heat have already finished their season series. They've already played all 4 games against each other. I wish we would have had some April Magic Heat matchups. Maybe
that's a good thing.
Each other in the play-in.
We will see, and that would be one for the ages, by the way, if we get 2 in-state rivals playing in the play-in tournament, winner takes all. That you can't ask for better basketball than that. But with that being said, man, I'm gonna just go ahead and jump in here, Peyton. So I think that I'm gonna ride with you a little bit here. I think the Magic will have the better back half of the season, only because they have more camaraderie there, and I think that the Heat will figure out their way. They're going to be trying to find their way. There's not too much sitting under the Heat, so I do say that the Heat and the Magic will both make the play-in tournament if the Magic don't just flat out make like the 6th seed or the 5th seed, something like that, right? But going back to the original question, I think that the Magic will have the better season. They need to get Jalen Suggs back, and he needs to do Jalen Suggs-like things. Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero, they need to figure out exactly how they're going to close out games. This is the most important thing. We know that they lean on Paulo very, very heavily in Orlando. And as a young guy, that's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. But when I look into the eyes, and you know that I talk about looking into the eyes of players all the time. Well, when I look into the eyes of Paulo, this is a guy who it doesn't seem like much phases him. When he has a bad game, he comes back with a bigger game. And the same thing goes for the Wagner brothers. The only issue that I'm having right now is waiting on Jalen Suggs, and it seems like this guy, he shows up whenever he wants to show up. But when he shows up, he does his thing, right? Also, you got all of these key pieces sitting on the Magic roster that the team is going to need to lean on. I don't think this is a one-man show. While you're going to always have your superstar or your star player on the team, I think this is a team that needs to really put it all together, and they cannot have anybody taking nights off if they want to go deeper into the playoffs. I would love to see a Cinderella run for the Magic when it comes to the playoffs. And I would love to see them bring some type of atmosphere to the city of Orlando, because we both know when the Magic is doing good, the city's doing amazingly, right? So that's just really where I sit with the Magic. As far as the Miami Heat goes, I think that the Heat just need to kind of figure out who they are. They're still looking for identity. It's no in between. There's no. You have a young potential stud. I'm not gonna call him a stud. And Tyler Hero. You got the veterans on the team, and Terry Rozier and Andrew Wiggins. And then you have a bunch of young guys, a bunch of those Miami Heat caliber players that nobody really knows about. You got Ware, you got Triple J. Duncan Robinson, so all of these guys that's sitting on the team, I think that honestly, we've seen Duncan Robinson be a sniper, and Duncan Robinson can turn into that guy who can sit back and shoot threes and knock them down as much as whenever he gets the ball. I think that's going to say a lot for the team. And this might be a hot take, but I think that they are leaning on Tyler Hero a little bit too much, and that chip might be a little bit too big for him to carry. And with that being said, how do you, man, Peyton, answer this question for me.
Okay.
How do you carry a team when you are on the verge of being shipped off and not free agency, but at the trading deadline, right? You're always looking for a way to get a better player. We know exactly what happened with the Dame Lillard trade. And they tried to get him out of there as much as possible. And nobody thought that Jimmy Butler would be the first person out of there.
Especially not me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody thought that Jimmy Butler would be the first to leave when they were really dangling Tyler Hero around like a pet set of keys.
Right.
So how do you, as a basketball player, how do you handle that as a professional? You know what I mean? Like, you were almost out of there, and now they're expecting you to go out and drop 25 every night.
That is a great point. I think hopefully Tyler Hero understands that at the end of the day, it is a business, and it just comes along with being part of the job. But again, to turn around after thinking, wow, I might get traded here because we know Jimmy's the centerpiece of the team, and then trying to restore some type of energy for games on back-to-back nights or three out of 4 nights of the week, whatever the case may be. I think it's a great point by you, Russ. But either way, he's got to do it, and he's got to be the leader of this team now, because I think he's the first option, and oftentimes he's going to be asked to close games for the Heat. So, yeah, and as far as comparing these two teams, I think the Magic's A game is better than the Heat's A game, but I trust the Heat from a consistency standpoint. I mean, the Magic just got beat by 40 the other night. They could turn around and beat a good team the next night. The Heat are a little more steady.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say when comparing the two teams, and that probably comes with the fact that the Magic stars are younger. The Heat stars like Tyler Hero, I mean, shoot, he's been in the league 6-7 years now. Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, a little more seasoned.
Yeah.
So I love comparing the two teams. And to be honest, I hope we get some postseason play between the two. I don't know if it's going to happen. There's a long way to go from now until mid-April.
I would hate that. I would love it. I would love it, but I would hate it at the same time because I don't want to see either one of those teams go home.
Yeah,
you know, that's gonna be really, really tough to watch. So
right,
we'll see what happens. It's a high possibility that happens.
Yeah.
But man, I would hate to see that. But that would be a game that me and you have to watch in person
together. And we might have to have a live reaction to it.
Yeah, man, we would have to watch that game for sure. Yeah. All right, but let's go ahead and transition. Let's do this, right?
Okay.
This is not a segment, but I'm going to throw it your way anyways.
Sure.
I'm going to read you off the next 5 for both of these teams. Okay. How about you call out win or loss?
Oh, all right. I like this segment.
Let's do it. Here we go. All right, so we're going to start with the Orlando Magic. Since the Miami Heat are playing tonight. Yeah. I'll read off that story, off that score as well. But the Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, they play February 22nd, which is Thursday. That's tomorrow. They play Golden State at Golden State.
Okay. I'm going to go with a win at home, desperate, coming off of the big loss where they got embarrassed.
They're in Golden State.
No, I think it's here in Orlando.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is
here in Orlando. Let me think about this matchup for a second. It's tough that Suggs is not back for the Magic yet because you'd like to have that body chasing Steph Curry around, although it takes an entire team effort to guard Steph Curry. But having Suggs out there certainly helps. But I just think desperate times call for desperate measures, and the Magic know they need a win. I'll go with a win there. Let's see how the rest of the schedule shapes out.
All right, let's do it. They play at home versus Toronto.
Toronto's having a tough year. They're having a tough go at it. Why not go with another W?
Okay. And they play on a back-to-back schedule versus Toronto as well. So they play Toronto 2 games back-to-back.
Man, how biased can one person sound in one segment?
They 3-0 so far in the
3-0
next
so
5.
far. All right, what's the next game?
All right, they got the Bulls at home. Hey, call it out.
I guess the Bulls are a play-in team. You know what? Since I've already got them going 3-0, I'll give them a loss here.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
you just throwing out a loss?
It's the NBA. You know, stranger things have happened. Already 3-0 in this stretch. Let's say they're 3-1 at this point.
So a team and the Chicago Bulls that are sitting at what?
10th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that you got them lose, and that can be a trap game. So I will give you that. I just want to hear your reasoning behind it. All right. And then the last game in that 5 games span is the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee.
All right. So is Jonathan Isaac playing? Because I do think, just for the record, Jonathan Isaac is one of the few bodies in the NBA that you can throw at Giannis Antetokounmpo where you could give him some trouble. Do you buy that or not?
I don't buy anything that Jonathan Isaac is selling.
Oh, okay. He has been healthier this year. He's played a lot of games.
Yeah, he's been playing 8 minutes a game. Of course.
Okay. I hear you. You know what? Since I gave him the loss against the Bulls, I'll give him a win here.
That is crazy. That is hilarious.
Well, the thing is, if you look at it from a 5-game total standpoint, it's not crazy to say that they'll go 4-1. So, yeah, maybe they'll beat the Bulls and lose to the Bucks, but at least we end up at the same place.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you give them the quote-unquote easiest victory to beat all the hard teams? You got them beating Golden State. If I'm beating Golden State, now I will say that back-to-back versus Toronto, it's going to be hard to beat the same team twice.
That's fair.
So, if anything, I'm splitting those games.
All right.
Giving them Chicago.
Okay.
And giving them a loss to Milwaukee Bucks.
So you're probably looking at 3-2 or 2-3, depending on the Warriors game.
I'm leaning more towards 2 and 3
in
the next 5.
Yeah. Especially with the designation of Jalen Suggs.
Right.
Since we don't know when he's coming back. I believe he's been ruled out for tomorrow's game.
Even with him on the court, like you did say, Peyton, it's going to be hard to stick Steph Curry. We know exactly what honestly, Steph Curry might be in Miami for the Orlando game. Anyways.
Oh, man.
Anyways.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move on to the Miami Heat.
Okay.
All right. So let's see what the Miami Heat have for the next 5 games and see where they're standing.
So they got the Hawks right now. So we're not counting that one.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah, the Heat, they're an interesting watch nowadays. I was watching them the other night actually playing against the Hawks in Atlanta. And that's my main takeaway with them. If Hero is not on his A game, they can struggle against average teams. So he's got to be playing well.
All right, here we go. Coming up in the next 5. So right now they are playing Atlanta. Actually, they just got a W versus Atlanta.
Oh, that game's over. They won it. Okay.
Yes. So the final score of that game was 131 to 109.
Oh,
all right. Nice. Duncan Robinson led in points with 24. Bam Adebayo with 9 rebounds.
Okay.
Tyler Hero with 10 assists.
Oh, that's a winning formula right there. Yeah. When your first option's getting double-digit assists, that'll work.
I like it. All right. So now that game is in the books, we're gonna officially go with the next 5.
All right.
So here we go. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. All right. They play Indiana at home. The Pacers.
So the Pacers are either the 4 or 5 seed in the East. I am not quite as high on the Pacers as others. They play on Friday, right?
Yes.
28th.
Yes.
So the Heat are not coming off of a back-to-back. What the heck? I was so positive with the Magic. Let me be positive about the Heat too. I expect another solid game from Hero. It's not like the Pacers have the greatest defensive backcourt in history. So let's give the Heat a win here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sunday, they have the Knicks at home. We know how much of a rivalry that is right there. They have the Knicks at home, and the Knicks are sitting at the 3 seed. So what say you?
It's funny. I'm not as high on the Knicks either, but I am going to give the Knicks the slight edge here. I'll go with the Knicks just in this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
They play the Washington Wizards at home.
That's a win.
Okay.
The Wizards are chasing the flag. If y'all haven't heard that term, it's Cooper Flagg, who's currently playing at Duke. He's most likely coming out and going to be a participant for the 2025 NBA draft. I think the Wizards are chasing the flag. So
if Cooper Flagg comes out, I
capture the flag. What am I talking? Did I say chasing? I meant to say
capture. They're trying to capture the flag.
Capture the flag. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm putting my money on San Antonio.
That's a good bet.
Okay.
I like that one.
All right. So they play at Cleveland.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Have you seen the Cavs play lately?
Yes.
They're rolling.
They are.
So I'm going to go with an L right there. So
now,
what are we at?
This is the last game right here.
Okay.
All right. So they play at home back in Miami versus the T-Wolves.
Ooh, I might have to turn that game on because Anthony Edwards, he's a top 3 draw for me.
Hey, listen, man. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you make your pick, and then I'm gonna say what I got to say.
I'm gonna go with the Heat here. I was watching the T-Wolves the other night against the Thunder, and they actually ended up pulling that game out. But it's a lot of Anthony Edwards handling the ball and waiting for something to happen, and then just passes off of him. I think I need a second playmaker for the T-Wolves to emerge.
Yeah.
The Heat are at home. I could see him gutting out and gritting out a win.
All right.
What say you?
I'm happy you said that, and I'm happy that you're being so positive, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
They need some type of positivity in their corner. I will give them Indiana.
Okay.
All right. I'll give them that Indiana game.
Yeah.
But the Knicks, I'm gonna give them an L.
Okay.
Washington, I'll give them a dub.
All right.
The Cavs, I'm gonna give them an L.
Okay, so we're on the same page right now.
And Minnesota, I'm also give them an L.
Oh, tough. You're being harsher than me.
I don't know who's gonna stay in front of Anthony Edwards, bro. And we know exactly what he does in fourth quarters. That just puts them over the edge, right? But I will agree, and we saw this, and I think this is where they went wrong in the postseason last year. It's a lot of Anthony Edwards. In the regular season, you can get away with that. But in the postseason, when you need other people to step up, it's almost too late, right?
Yeah,
they're standing around. Everybody's marveled at what Anthony Edwards is doing and how he's flying throughout to the rim. How powerful he is and how much finesse he has in order to get an open jump shot. Right. So I think that when it comes to Anthony Edwards, he might be too much for the Heat to handle at this stage right now. Who do you put in front of him? Anthony Wiggins?
Andrew Wiggins? That would probably be the best option.
So with that being said, man, I'm interested to see what is that. I got a 1, 2, and just like the Magic, I got them going 2 and 3.
Okay.
In the next 5, and that doesn't change much in where they're sitting right now as far as playoff seeding, depending on what happens with other teams that's in between them or under them.
To sum it up, you're a little more realistic. I'm a little more optimistic, which I think we've stated before.
Yes, we know this. We know exactly how optimistic you are, especially when it comes to the Magic Kingdom. So yeah, man, I thought that was actually pretty good. Anything else before we wrap this thing up and move forward?
Man, I'm just excited to exclusively cover Florida sports, man. It's going to be great. We're going to get into the high school scene at some point. Obviously, college with March Madness coming up in the Florida Gators being as prominent of a team as they are so far this season.
Yeah, I guess I got to be a Gators fan for college basketball, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately for yourself, but yes.
It's okay. It's okay.
But no, Russ and I are super excited to get this thing rolling and keep it rolling and find our niche, like I said at the top of the show.
I think we're here.
And, we're here, and we're going to keep it going. And this was just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we're going to dive into more Magic content, more Heat content. We didn't even get to the Jaguars. We already talked about the Dolphins. We're going to hit on the Buccaneers,
Yes, sir.
Florida State Seminoles, Florida Gator, all that good stuff. So,
yes, sir.
What do you got to say to close it out, Russ?
Man, hey, for you guys who have been rocking with us, for those who have not been rocking with us, we appreciate all you guys across the board. Man, I'm excited to get to it, Peyton. I love the new digs. I love the new setup. I love how we sound. It's a lot of things that we have going right. And I think this is exactly where we need to be. Us covering Florida just gives us a chance to lock in and give more value to the people that watch us, especially fans of Florida sports. And Peyton, I think you found a home. You're an amazing analyst, and the way that you break down the game on all levels, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, soccer.
Not that far.
Like, man, I think that you're gonna do amazing in this area, man. And you look good, bro. You look good.
Hey, as do you.
The one thing people can't say is that you don't look good. So I'm really here for it.
I do like the new setup. It's a cool vibe we got going on.
Yeah. 100%, man. So with that being said, man, I will challenge us, the Sportaholics, to get a little bit more active and do a little bit more and connecting with the viewers, everybody that's watching at home. And, you know, just trying to spark up those conversations about the teams that's in Florida. You know, our strong suit is football and basketball, but if you guys want to see a little bit more Tampa Bay Rays, or you want to see some Marlins, or
Tampa Bay Lightning, maybe. That's a stretch for Russ, but
listen, if we're talking hockey, all I'm going to be talking about is how many fists were thrown.
Okay.
In the second period.
I'll cover all the scoring and defense. You got the fights.
Please carry me. You're going to have to carry me on that one, man. Like they always say, Peyton, next man up.
There you go.
So that would be your forte.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Peyton, I'm going to go ahead and solo you here. I'm out, guys. Thank you for watching the Sportaholics. Actually, the Florida-Holics, that's not really our name, but you could call us the Florida-Holics by all means. Peyton, go ahead and take us out.
All right, man. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Like Russ said, you know, expect us to be a little more active here in the coming weeks, months. We're going to be more active on social media, more active shooting, more active with our live content. So we always appreciate the support. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode, all right? With that said, peace. Stay tuned.